Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Global Intelligence Update. And we've got a great guest with us calling in from Australia, Sydney, Therese Tarlinton. Welcome, Therese. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's such a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.
I know it's really nice seeing you here. And for those that don't know who Therese is, Therese has the magic touch when it comes to speaking the language of brands, securing collaborations, partnerships, and sponsors that grows businesses. She's the best-selling triple gold medal author of SWAP, Marketing Without Money, where she reveals her insider strategies and a trailblazing track record that speaks volumes. Therese secured major partnerships with brands like Jeep, Sesame Street, and Benetton to create a $10 million business. A seasoned TV strategist, she's been a judge on Channel 10's By Design and weaved brands seamlessly into shows like The Block, Selling Houses Australia, The Living Room, and has become the sought-after expert for securing sponsorships that deliver a three-way win. Wow. So, Therese, with that introduction, besides the how amazing it is, what else can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, okay. So I would say, as we were just saying, I grew up in Brisbane. I'm a bit of a dag. I have a beautiful family. I have adults now, not children. And they are. I have one pilot and one paramedic.
Oh,
So so they've gone off and they're doing their own thing. And I love reading. I'm sure a few of you are in that same boat. Love it. And just love having curious conversations with interesting people, really.
oh, awesome. Therese mentioned, or sorry, I mentioned about her book and SWAP swap. Therese said she'd gladly enough share something with us, the audience that are currently live. I've just put it in the chat box. Please check it
Yeah.
out. Pretty cool.
Yeah, fantastic. That's the audiobook version. So you get to hear my dulcet Aussie tones for 5 hours while I tell you all about partnerships. So that's a gift to you guys. The hard copy's on Amazon and everywhere else in all the bookstores and Walmart and Target and everywhere. Um, but I wrote Swap a few years ago after COVID. And the reason I did was because I've been mentoring female founders for about 17 years after someone helped me when I was growing my first business. And when it was all pretty bad, people kept saying to me, "What can I do? This is, an economic environment which is terrible. We're all at home. My e-commerce business is suffering. My bricks and mortar business is suffering, or my consultancy." And I kept saying, you need to find businesses that have the same customer as you and create partnerships and give your customer an irresistible experience. And so they kept saying, "Have you got it written down? How do I do that?" And so I thought, that's a really good idea. I should write that down. And so that's how Swap was born. And it's called Swap because as businesses, we all have a toolbox full of assets that we can leverage with other businesses. And the tag isn't marketing without money because most of the partnerships deals that we do are just leveraging our assets to create a better experience, and they're not exchanging money. So we're not paying for these partnerships. We're actually just leveraging what we've already built.
Sure.
And I want to see more people do that. Like I'm on a mission to see more of us working together because we're stronger together, but also it's just more fun. Business is hard, right? So if you actually get to do business with another brand that knows and loves your customers as much as you do, then it can only be a win.
Yeah, no, we completely agree with that. And Andrea also saying collaboration, leveraging with each other. Yeah, definitely. Talking about partnerships, can you tell us why partnerships were the key to creating a multi-business dollar business?
Well, I started doing partnerships a long, long time ago, probably more than 20 years ago. And so this was way before digital. This was way before influencers existed. And so this was really about what businesses could do. And we know that, I guess, as consumers, that partnerships have been around for decades and decades. I mean, I know that most of us would have bugged our parents to go to McDonald's to get the Happy Meal with the toy in it, from the latest movie. For me, it was like more like Star Wars and Smurfs, that vintage a long, long time ago. But the big brands know how to do this incredibly well. And when I created my first business, I actually saw a Jeep stroller. So there was a company called Colecraft in America, and they made baby products. And they had done a deal with Jeep, the car company, and together they've created the Jeep baby stroller. And so I thought this was awesome, and it combined my two loves of brands and babies. So I convinced them to let me, this little chick from Australia, bring the brand to Australia. And I did my first partnership deal, unbeknownst to me, is when I took the stroller into Jeep, the head office, and I showed the PR manager, who was just about to go on maternity leave, the product. And she said, I love it. It's great. I've got an idea. How about I do some PR for you and you give me a stroller? And I was like, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Now, she got me in every newspaper and magazine across the country, from the Financial Review to, homemaker magazines, lifestyle magazines, men's magazines, financial newspapers, everywhere. And so everybody was talking about the brand. And that got me a phone call that changed my whole business, which was from Huggies. So everyone knows Huggies, I'm sure. It's a big nappy brand all around the world, trusted by parents, And so they gave me a call and they said, hey, we've got an idea. We need something for our biggest client, which is Coles, which is a grocery chain that's all around our country. And we'd love to do something cool for them. We think that we have an idea for a competition, and in this competition, we want to give away a Jeep to mother and baby. And would you be keen on giving us a few prizes? So 4 strollers, which from a cost of goods point of view was like not much, a few $100, not much. And they then put the stroller on the side of every nappy box around the country. It was on the point of sale. It was on the TV ads. It was everywhere. And that deal allowed me out of my, second bedroom to get my first $1 million in turnover.
Wow.
So that's when I really realized, I'm like, hey, this partnership thing is good. Like, who's got your customers? Who already has your audience and has a great reputation with them and knows them and loves them? And how can you start to do deals with other people who know your customers and that could elevate your brand or give your brand credibility, and give it the reach that it needs, and also a point of differentiation. So so that was how it all started. And then I just kept doing it. I was like, I'm in love. This is great. So then I approached Benetton in Italy, which is a fashion brand, about creating manufacturing under license for them, which they love. They love so much that they said, that's a fantastic idea. Let me put that out to tender around the world. And so I was competing with these billion-dollar brands, and I was just, one little startup in Australia. And but we won because I told the story of a young mum who wanted a stroller that was an expression of her, that was as comfortable as jeans and a t-shirt. And so we launched a stroller that was denim and jersey. And it went berserk, and it was all over Europe. It was all over the Middle East. And I set up distributors everywhere. And so that was like my, the catalyst for my business kind of growing and expanding globally, was just really looking at who has a brand that your customers will love.
Wow. Very, very cool story. And Very interesting. So if anyone has any questions they'd like to drop past, just put it in the chat and we'll get to that as soon as we can. So with that, Therese, what do you say um, to businesses who say they have nothing to offer?
Yeah, I hear this all the time. In terms of people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm just small. I'm just a consultant, or I'm just something. I'm just a photographer. I'm just this. I haven't got anything to offer. What would I offer?" And so the thing is, as business owners, we all have these superpowers, the things that we find so easy to do. It's like our thing, right? And the thing that you find so easy is usually the thing that somebody else completely struggles with. They're just foreign to them. It's not second nature. It's incredibly difficult. And so it's really about what have you got? What could you leverage? What have you built? And obviously social media is a big thing now, but it's not about the numbers that you've got. It's around the intimacy and the engagement of having a connection with your audience. And it's really about looking at a whole list of things. And so one night I got a glass of wine, and I started writing down like all the things that you could leverage in your business. And I came up with 103 things. And they're probably 103 things that you probably have never even thought about, or you might be sitting on and you've forgotten about, or you didn't even realize you could use to leverage to do deals with other brands. So that's on, and if you want it, it's on my website. You can go and grab it. But it's really about what can you offer? And so these are things when you start to look at, obviously, everybody first thought social, great, amazing. But then it's more than that. It's about the relationships that you've built. It's about your stance as a leader. It's about the associations, the charities and the industry groups that you align with. It's around your knowledge, like your knowledge of a manufacturing process, or how to get something through a TGA standard, which is like our Therapeutic Goods Association. But I'm just saying, like, there are things that you are inherently great at that you have built in your business that somebody else needs right now. And so collectively, if we start to look at, businesses in how can we create something bigger? So in the olden days, obviously we would barter. We would be like, I'll give you 3 eggs for, a loaf of bread. And together, we have scrambled eggs on toast. So really thinking about your business in that way, like who's done what you want to do, who's got what you need, who knows what you don't. And these are how you start looking for these beautiful brand connections. So I guess in some ways I'm almost like a little bit like a dating coach for brands. I like find the matches where they're, better together.
Wow. Philippe's actually flipped the question and he's asked, Therese, how do you find who has your target audience? Like mine is serial entrepreneurs. Would you have an idea? So on the upper
Okay,
spectrum.
great. So your target audience, I have two very strong perspectives on this. So at my core, I'm a marketer. I've been doing marketing for a very, very long time, since marketing was a creative discipline and then it turned into a data discipline. But I've been doing this for a long time. And so I can do marketing for an accountant. I can do marketing for a yoga studio owner or a pizza shop owner, or someone who sells goat's milk soap on their e-commerce store, because that's my craft, that's my discipline, it's marketing. But who do I actually love to work with? So one, like a target audience is who has, who wants your product or service and who is willing to pay for it. But I think as business owners as well, we really need to look at like, who do we love dealing with? Like, who gives us fuel? Who do we get amazing results for? So I could definitely work with the accountant, and help him elevate his accountancy business. But it doesn't light me up. Like it's not my zone of genius. It's not where I get super excited and can think of 1,000 things to do. And so I truly believe like your target customer is about who commercially can pay you for your IP, your knowledge, or your good or your service, but also around where's your genius zone and who do you naturally connect with and who ignites your superpower. And that's who I think your target audience is.
Great answer. I hope that helps, Philippe. Pamela also asked, can you give an example of a service-to-service business?
Yes, I have hundreds. But let me tell you, this one is kind of cool. So, I've worked with like a service like an interior designer and a furniture brand. So it can be a service and a product. It could be a service and an organization or an entity group. Like I worked with a building biologist. So they assess how the impact of a healthy building material in a home is. And they worked with the Australian Institute of Architects. So they were able to offer a workshop to architects, their ideal audience, and the Australian Institute of Architects were offering that education in a non-biased way because she wasn't a brand, she didn't represent a brand. And so therefore the architect, so I'm always looking for a three-way win. Where is the three-way win? So Zara, building biologist, she wanted to get deals with architects. Okay. Then you've got the architects. The architects want to come on and watch the webinar. And what do they want? They want unbiased opinion. And they also got a CPD point, which is a point that you get that you need from an accreditation point of view. And what did the Australian Institute of Architects get? Well, they didn't have somebody in that area that could actually offer the insight and the learning to secure and make sure that their members were educated, that the industry was growing, but also they would keep paying their subscription fees. So when you look at different services, it's really about like, where is that three-way win? How does the customer benefit? How does partner one benefit? How does partner two benefit? And I think even one of my favorites, I just went along a couple of months ago to this one, and it was a mortgage broker. So obviously somebody who helps you find finance for residential or investment property. And she had created an event, and that event was on for one night. Now let's look at, there was a mountain. There was a swarm of collaborations. So the first one was the location. So the venue was actually the Australian Women's Club. I didn't know that existed. But has been around for nearly 100 years, and it is a beautiful building where business women can go and they can network and they can stay. It has accommodation. It's right in the heart of Sydney, and is beautiful, architectural, amazing space. Okay, so the first collab was the space. So she did a deal with the space to hold that function there for that night for no money. Second thing was they had, I'll call it a sponsor. That was a person who had obviously contributed the food and the copious bottles of wine that were there for the evening. The person who contributed that invested to pay for that cost was a cosmetic clinic. So somewhere where you go for resurfacing, Botox, like all the stuff, right? Because the audience that they had attracted was actually women, mostly single women who wanted to invest in property. They then on the night had somebody that educated them about their credit score. They had a buyer's agent that was talking about which was the hottest locations to buy in. They had an accountant that was talking about how to buy property, even in your self-managed super fund. And then they had a property lawyer that was navigating how you would do this as a single woman. So when you look at that the outlay or the costs involved in that were almost minimal, almost nothing. But what it did is it looked at who are the movers and shakers, who are the impact makers within the category of women who wanted to buy property. And so when you look at that deal, you've then got, it was like 6 different databases that they got to tap into and invite all of their customers. It had 18 different social media channels that they were promoting this event to actually get you there on the night. They had 6 different websites that they were using. So they were, and then obviously they have physical spaces, offices, locations that they would invite their clients into. They had point of sale in those locations as well. So even though these are service-based companies, they were looking for how could they create an immersive experience that would educate, inspire, and give confidence to this room full of very powerful women to help them on their journey.
Wow, that sounds very organized and sets up to buy the house right there.
Oh, I'm just
Andrea,
looking at the next question.
yeah,
Will we
we'll
do
jump
that one?
back to the questions now. I just want
Okay.
to get back to your swap, your book. You mentioned 3 partnerships in the book, 3 kinds of partnerships. What are the 3 kinds of partnerships any business can do?
Yeah, perfect. So as I said, that last example was the one that I probably love. Well, I love them all equally. It's like children. But the one is where you create an immersive experience. So you actually use your location or create a location. So that could be an event. It could be a trade show. It could be you can invite people into your retail location. It could be that you're using somebody else's boardroom. So you actually have a location. And when I say it's a location, that's around an in-person experience where you ignite all the senses. So they're smelling, tasting, hearing, conversing, and you're tapping into all those things. So the first one is to create an experience. I'll call it an in-person experience. And as I said, that's the one that I just described as a perfect example of that. The second one is where you use your knowledge or your IP to create a digital experience. And that could be a number of things. It could be something like this, a podcast, where you've actually got an exchange of audience, an exchange of value and insights and things that you can leverage. It could be that you've got a case study, a white paper, like whatever is applicable to your industry, which is about a documented case study, I guess, with backlinks, with examples, with photos, with all of these assets that are in there to help a customer make an educated decision. And those assets could sit on your website and their website indefinitely. So you have backlinks, but you also have affirmation of a really beautiful client connection with another business. And the first one is probably the most common, which is around co-creation. So this is when you're actually creating a product or a service where you're co-mingling 2 brands and putting them together. And that could be, I mean, the Barbie movie had 100 collaborations when it actually launched. And as I said, this is where we see, old brands like McDonald's and Star Wars, come together. Gucci and Adidas, they did a great thing. It's even in our shopping aisles, we see like Absolute Vodka and Heinz tomato sauce have created pasta sauces together. So this is where you start to commingle the brands to appeal to a demographic or an audience that you're trying to tap into. So just to quickly, so you've got, co-brand a product or a service. You've got use your knowledge or your IP to create a digital product that's going to talk about you when you're not in the room. And then the third one is to create an experience that engages all the senses in real life, that you can bring your product or your service to life in an environment that helps educate, inspire your target customer.
Oh, great insights. Thank you for sharing, Therese. So I'll jump back to Andrea. Andrea says, Therese, what do you see in the next iteration of marketing in the changing landscape of business that is beyond the normal conversation of digital marketing? Ooh,
Oh, great question. I
yeah.
can answer this all day. Okay. So as I said, I started in marketing in the 90s. You know, my first job was I worked for Philips and I launched the CDR. Do you even know what that is? It's like something, it's like, you know, a disc that you used to put in your computer and save files on. Gone, right? It's up there with Kodak camera. But that's how long I've been doing marketing. And so when I started in marketing, it really was a creative discipline. And so as a young woman in marketing, if I went to my boss and I said, here's an idea, this is a campaign that we want to do, or an advertising program that we wanted to do, you would hand it to your boss, and your boss could literally just go, I don't like it. And it would be vetoed, would be gone, right? Because then it was a discipline where it was just an opinion. It was very opinion based, it was very creative based, and there wasn't anything to really measure the effectiveness of it. And so it just kind of got canned most of the time. And then I've seen the Y2K bug. I've seen, you know, social media invented. I've seen it all. And so as a marketer, I've had to ride that wave and really make sure that I've kept up and adopted and emerged with new technology. So, you know, making sure that I was building websites before websites were a thing, making sure that I could actually tap into creating content before content was a thing, you know. And so and I guess now it's kind of what we're moving through is around this AI. So AI, artificial intelligence, a way to actually create and amplify your message. What I see as something from a marketing point of view is really about, I think marketing is going to go full circle and actually come back to being a creative discipline. Because now with AI, we kind of have even more leveled a playing field. So all of us can access AI. We can all tap into AI and say, please write me a blog that's 400 word long and appeals to a target demographic of X, and about you know, 5 ways to invest in property. And so we can get AI to write that. Great, right? But the thing is, so can everybody else. And so there's no point of differentiation anymore. And so this is where I truly believe that your uniqueness and your voice and your vision and your experience and your history and your passion is about using AI in a different way. So I think that we, for example, should be recording our sales conversations on Zoom. And so if Chris was a potential client and he asked me a question, then I would answer in my most authentic way based on my years of experience in a niche that I knew, in an industry that I loved, in a location that I serviced. And based on all those factors, I would give Chris my most authentic answer to his question. That's what I want more than anything else. I don't want a 400 word blog about how to buy property that anybody could have written, and actually no one did. So I think for me, the evolution of digital marketing is now around how can you take your voice, your opinion, your history, your knowledge, your passion, and use AI to amplify it, to reformat it, to repurpose it, to actually sprinkle it around like unicorn glitter in the digital atmosphere. And so you can create always on marketing that is about your uniqueness. And so that's where I think that the marketing is going. It's around that creativity of thought, because otherwise we can just create, we can get AI to create anything we want. I can create a digital double of myself today. But I think that, like, for me, I'm working on something now, which is actually a digital double of myself, but in a unique way. So working with kind of create my own GPT. So if you tap into my mind, like if you rang me up and you were like, hey, can we jam? Like I need to work out how I'm going to create a partnership. I'm launching a product. Then I would give you all my best ideas. I would empty my brain, look at who, where, what, everything, and give you my answer. But if you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sydney time, that answer's not coming. No, I am asleep. So the GPT that I'm creating, I'm putting in every podcast I've ever been in. I'm putting in every keynote I've ever done. I'm putting in my sales conversations on Zoom. I'm putting in my book. I'm putting in my next book. I'm putting in every single thing that I can around my thought process, my unique vision, my superpower. And so then you will be able to, when I'm asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sydney time, you can actually go on this GPT and you'll actually be able to say, hey, I'm a stylist and I work in the disability sector and I'm wondering what collabs I can do and what campaigns I could build. And based on all of my experience, all my great ideas, everything that I hold true and believe in, you will get an answer that's pretty close to what would come out of my mouth. And that, I think, is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Great answer, Therese. So I just want to jump back, and I think you might have gotten this question quite a lot. What is the puzzle piece brands are missing?
Yeah, and I think that's around when I talked about the three-way. So I think that a lot of brands actually think about partnerships or JVs or collaborations, whatever you call it, because they're called different things and they're essentially the same thing. And so I think traditionally, well, one, people actually think this is influencer marketing and it's not. So influencer marketing, amazing, great discipline, all good, a puzzle piece, perfect, not slamming it in any way. But when we do influencer marketing, it's usually a really great person of influence who has influence usually on one platform or one segment or one industry and has one voice to one target audience. When we do brand collaborations, we are tapping into companies. Companies, a brand, a business that has a whole toolkit of really cool stuff. And so that's what I was saying about, the 103 assets. So they might have a whole sales team, they might have showrooms, they might have partnerships with huge retailers like Home Depot, or they have a whole spectrum of assets that you can tap into. Bad partnerships are when you front up and you're like, hey, can you do something for me? And it's almost then a bit like the eggs and the bread. So it's almost a barter system. Like I'll give you one Instagram post and you give me one LinkedIn post. And that is the wrong way to look about partnerships. So partnerships are all about putting the customer at the center of your decision making and saying, what would be an irresistible experience for this customer? And what could I tap into that I've got in my toolkit that would create that irresistible experience? So I could make sure that I've got something on social, but then I've also got it in a newsletter, and I've also got it at my point of sale in my stores. And it's also in my sales reps kit that when he's going out and visiting customers. And it's also in when I go to my industry group to their Monday every fortnight lunch, I'm going to talk about it there. And then I'm actually going to talk about it on my own personal channel because I think it's a really cool thing that I'm really proud that I'm doing. And so when you look at partnerships through the lens of the customer and what would create an amazing, irresistible experience for the customer, and then you're all in, then it's about I'm going to tap in. I'm going to tap into all these tools that I can use to create this irresistible experience. And when you do that, you win. I swear you will win. And the thing is, I guess when I work with brands on creating these irresistible partnerships, I am always of the thought that you should over deliver. So I'm always like, offer more than you ask, give generously, share widely, like talk about it. And then if I've said I'm giving you these 4 things, I'm going to give you 5. Because when I give you 5, 1, you're going to think that's pretty cool. 2, you're then going to take that 5th asset and you're then going to share it or send it or do something with it. So I actually get more leverage. But mostly it's about, I want to give that customer that one more thing that might, tip them over the edge to create an amazing experience. And with that, then when you create these partnerships, the most important thing is then to create, I'll call it a success report. Because us as humans, I want to work with, with Philippe or Chris or Pamela. I want to work with another person, and I want to do great things, and I want to be proud, and I want to be acknowledged, and I want to be, feel like I contributed. And so then when you give generously and you do that, and then you wrap it up into a success report and you hand it back to your partner, and you're like, look what happened. Look what happened. These are the comments that were made. This is the feedback that we got. This is the thing that happened from it. It creates even more generosity and it gets bigger. But what it also does is it gets you your next partner, because then you have something that you can actually show the next partner and say, this is what I did with Chris. And together we were able to create XYZ percentage, XYZ click rate. We were able to actually get 100 people in a room. We were able to actually get them to this kind of conversion, this kind of thing. And so you are just creating a success report that shows that you as a partner are all in, and you're going to make sure that you both win. And when you go for that with this, and everyone and the customer, and it's all about the customer, so the customer's won as well, and so then you've got your triple win. So really, I guess so the puzzle piece that is about three-way win, and is about the customer at the center of your decision making. And if you do that, you can't not win. I promise you.
Great advice. Thanks for sharing, Therese. So we've spoken about product placement into TV shows. How exactly does that work?
So I've been working with shows for ages, and so that product placement is just one type of partnership, right? And I guess from working with producers for years, it's still the three-way win. So you think about this in terms of, like, the producer has an idea for a show, they have like a format, have a duration, they have a budget, they have a vision. And so, and they need to create that vision, they need products, services, contestants, they need all the things. And so when you look at that, there's around who are the sponsors that contribute to getting them the money they need, and who are the sponsors or partners that contribute to lowering their costs on that format, on that TV show. So when you look at that creative, so that first circle, in your three-way win, you've got a producer who's got a vision, and you want to create something really cool, something that's going to get watched, something that's going to be shared, something that's like going to be talked about the next day at work. And then you look at the customer, and so when the customer's watching like a program, a show, they want to be intrigued. They want to be educated, inspired. They want laughter. They want enjoyment. They want to spend time with their family. What they don't want is to be sold to, right? And then when you think about the sponsor, they want a beautiful integration into a program, like something really seamless, something that they can be proud of, that something that they can show their customers and reformat and recreate to create leads and marketing that's bigger than that 15 seconds. And so what they don't want is, they don't want a badge slap at the end of a program. They don't want their logo on the last slide once everyone's switched off. So when you put those three circles together, because I do love a bit of a Venn diagram, so when you do that, there's a little overlap in the middle, and that is the bucket of gold. And that bucket of gold is around, how do you create an activation, or an activation within a program, but of course also an activation within an event or a program that you're doing. How do you create an activation that's so cool, that's so seamless, that's so fun, that's so inherent in the storytelling, that the audience can't wait to interact with the sponsor? And then the sponsor, it's just that then it just becomes a love fest. So then the sponsor's like, how much more money do you need? And how much more can we do? And yes, I definitely want to be part of next season. And then you've got the audience who are like, this is fun. I feel like I'm involved in this. This is great. And so they're happy. And so you have this beautiful organic love fest. And so there, I think like the TV shows are probably the best at doing this in terms of they are always looking for a three-way win because they realize without one of those partners, it all falls apart. So without the sponsor, there is no show. There's no money. You can't do it. And without the audience, and you need the audience as well. Without the audience, there's no second season. It's not going to happen. So when you think about a TV program, every single time they're on screen, they're really about how do I entice the customer? How do I engage the customer? How do I give them something that brings them back tomorrow night to watch? And so I think they are the pioneers of the three-way win. And I think that we as brands, business brands, can actually learn a lot from how they do that. And that is about the three-way win.
Wow, awesome. Thanks for sharing. I think that's quite a lot of insight and very, very cool way of looking at it, getting into it. So yeah, we are reaching the time limit. If anyone else have any questions, please drop it in the chat or unmute yourself and we can ask Therese. But otherwise, Teresa sent me this amazing video. You guys check it out in the chat box. Yeah, Pamela.
I didn't want to type it because it would probably take me too long to type it. First of all, thank you so much, Therese. What I wanted to ask is, as a small company, how do you protect yourself when you go to pitch to a larger company to have what happened to you, where they said, we're going to put it out for tender, and thank goodness you won the tender. But how do you protect that idea, or is there any way to do so?
Yeah, it's a great question, Pamela. I mean, there's, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but there are no unique ideas, as in there, even when we're forming ideas, it's because we've seen something that spurred us into action, or we've seen something that has occurred in a different industry, different space, different location, things like that. So I think that, and I think that the value of an idea is, an idea is just a dream that went nowhere, right? Like as in, if an idea without action, an idea without action is just a dream. So it's really about like, what are the things that so when you pitch, it's almost like you pitch the what. And we all know this as salespeople, right? As in, I can tell you that, the 3 types of partnerships that you can do. That probably in your mind, you're starting to like ask more questions than there are answers. And so then you probably need me to navigate a path for you. So when you are selling the sizzle, the vision, then you almost sell the what, not the how. And they need to bring you in to get the how. So I could say, yeah, cool, I'll teach you how to make an omelette. You need eggs and milk and a fry pan. And then you put it all together and voila, you have an omelette. Now I've told you exactly what you need, but I haven't told you how many eggs, how much milk, what temperature on the fry pan you need, how long you cook it for, and so without those key elements, then there is no omelette. So this is around when you sell, this is really about getting you, I use this, it's probably an Aussie phrase. It's like you get them on the bus. Like you want to get them on the journey with you. Like you want to sell the idea and the concept that they're like, oh my gosh, I can see it. I can see into the future. I can see that this is something that we should do. And then they're like, how do we do it? And you're like, well, you need me. You need me on the bus, otherwise the bus isn't going anywhere.
I'm the driver.
Exactly. I'm driving this bus.
I'm the person who knows where we're going. Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Pleasure. Anyone else want to have a chat?
Yeah, we've got one here from Andrea. Andrea says, what are the next goals and aspirations for Therese Tarlinton moving forward?
Oh, how long have you got? Wow. Okay. So I'm an Aussie girl. And so I have this big, 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 hairy dream. So I do a lot of speaking at the moment, and I help brands navigate a path to growth through strategic marketing partnerships. And so my big, hairy dream is to speak internationally, to speak on big stages with huge audiences, in amazing countries and meet amazing people like you. So if you know anyone who might need a speaker, and then we can hang out and I'll buy you dinner, that would be amazing. But I think as well around aspirations, as I said, I've worked, I do a lot of consulting, and there's in Australia there's I'll call it like a government program. So because someone helped me, I pay it forward. And so there's a program where I help business owners and they don't have to pay. And it's kind of like paid volunteering, where I get a little bit more than getting paid at McDonald's, and definitely not consulting rates. But I help businesses. So last year, I think I met with 184 individual business owners, and actually crafted an action plan for them on how to move forward. And so I hear all the time about the limitations, this probably in a lot of ways almost the self-imposed limitations that we have as business owners. And they could be anything from imposter syndrome to not having the funding to do what you want. Again, there is an abundance of money. There is an abundance of talent. There is abundance, but sometimes we just don't trust ourselves enough to actually reach out and get it. But also around, I truly, 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 truly believe that, you and I together, way better than me by myself. And I believe that the thing that I find insanely difficult is the thing that you find really easy. And so I just believe that there is greater to be done if we can actually just start working together than if we just all try to stick it out. I mean, I think the best thing, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for decades, and so the greatest thing about us is we go alone. We are not scared. We are brave. We push forward. We can do anything. And that's also our greatest limitation, is we go alone. We can do anything. We stand alone a lot of the time. And so we need to, kind of swap our mindset a little bit and go, well, who's done what I want to do, who can navigate a path, who could provide the tech to the product that I need, who could provide the venue for the amazing event that I need to create, how could we put something together and be better? And that can be so simple. Like, I have a friend, she has a furniture brand. She wanted to launch a new collection. She wanted to go to Brisbane and launch her new collection in Brisbane. She lives in Adelaide, which is a few states away. And then I was also working with an artist who had just been on The Block, which is our big TV program here. And I was helping him maximize his 15 seconds of fame. And so I was like, hang on a minute. And I was like, hey, Chris, the artist has this amazing gallery space, beautiful, cement floor, super cool, high ceilings, really specky, beautiful. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to know more interior designers who would specify his work into homes. So he wanted to know interior designers. That was his lacking. He didn't know any. And Tony, my girlfriend who had the furniture brand, she knows every interior designer, all of them. But she needed a space to show her beautiful products. So I was like, hey, and I got them both on the phone. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. Put your amazing furniture in his amazing gallery. You invite all the interior designers to come along. It's going to cost you a cheese board and a few bottles of champagne. And that's it. You can both win. So I guess that's my thing. I love like who's got what you need, because someone else has got what you need. You can help somebody else. It's a better. So for those interior designers that turned up that night, it was a better experience than if they went to a hotel room and saw a brand of furniture. It was way better. So how can we, again, look through the lens of what would be a great experience for the customer? What would entice them to get there? What would they rave about when they left? What could we give them while they were there? And then look at that through that lens to create like who do I need to talk to? And I would say, like, with the, who comes before you in the customer journey, with the customer journey, look at that customer journey and go, who comes before you? Who comes after you? Who matches with you? And they're your, most organic, easy partnerships that you can do. So, Tony also has partnerships with furniture cleaners, because then somebody spills something on their lounge or whatever and they need it to be cleaned. She gets constantly asked, how do I clean this lounge? So she creates content with the furniture cleaner to say how you clean the lounge. But if you don't want to do it yourself, you should contact Bob. So she has backlinks to all of these brands on her website that are always working. They, of course, have that same article on their website, and so they're always coming back to her. And so it helps. So who's got the reach, who's got the credibility, and who's got the differentiation that you need?
Oh.
That was a long, long answer, wasn't it? Do you know what? I'm going to summarize that by saying, I want to play big. I want to play a bigger game. That's how I'm going to say it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Andrea says, next time you're in Brisbane, let's catch up.
Done.
Awesome. So I think that's it for the session, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and thank you, Therese, for coming and gracing us with your presence. It's really nice having you here, and thanks for sharing all the insights. I think all of us took quite a lot away from this. Melanie says, thank you, Therese. This has been very relevant for us and where we are in New Zealand at right now. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Therese, is there anything else you'd like to add in?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, absolutely, if you want to read the book, it's all yours. And I'm the only Therese Tarlinton in the world. So you have no excuses. I have like 27 pages of Google results. So you can get a hold of me. Okay. And please reach out. Love new friends. It's all good.
Awesome. No, I think everyone will. Thank you for everyone joining in. Thank you, Therese, again, and to the offline listeners. Thank you for joining us. Everyone have a great week ahead, and we'll see you again next week.
Great. Thanks everyone.
Team.
See you later.
Take care.